Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Data Show. This is Chris Greco. For the next 30 minutes, we'll be talking about different types of data. And what I'd like to do is to take my worldview episode on UNESCO and talk about it from a data perspective. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what is UNESCO? So UNESCO is a UN-run, United Nations-run organization. And basically what happens is it's made up of 193 countries. I mean, all the countries, including what just happened recently, the United States. The United States has decided to come back into UNESCO. And what I did was I went ahead and I talked about the different areas of UNESCO. Well, I'm gonna talk about those, but basically focusing on funding, because funding is both a source of data and also it's a source of how we are when it comes to the worldview. So I think the data show and the worldview will really cover these areas, and so that's why this is kind of a joint show, the worldview and the data show. So how did I come upon this data, this core data portal, right, for UNESCO? Well, the first thing I did, and this is interesting, I just put literally in UNESCO, right, and then I let it do my search for me. So it has all kind of different areas and what it is. I mean, Wikipedia has something on it, and then all this, right? United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. So this is what this is. I mean, this is a UN organization that's based on UN countries and that takes its funding from contributions based on each country. Now, what is that? So here are the sources of funding. I'm just going to go through these real quick. As a matter of fact, this is not going to be a full 30-minute show. I got to tell you that right now. If I make it 20 minutes, be lucky, because I really want to focus in on this one thing. And I think if I focus on one thing, it only takes maybe between 10, maybe 20 minutes to do something like that. But the main question is, what is UNESCO and what does it do? Well, you can take a look at this through the projects, which we're going to hit here in a second. But what I want to do first of all is I want to make sure and go through these sources of fundings. So this is 2022 to 2023. I can download this. I can actually download it, which I have, and I put it in Excel. But you have the overall funding here. So this is the overall funding. 948,871K. So you have to add 3 zeros on the end of this, folks. So we're talking about 948, basically $946 million, 947, so almost $1 billion worth of overall funding. And each contributor has a certain thing here. So let's take a look. And this was what I wanted to make sure and hit. Now you can take this by contributor name, descending, contributor amount, all these different things, right? So this is in descending form. China is the first one. China is the first one. Now, just to let you know, the U.S. is currently over in China, visiting China. China has given $114 million to UNESCO. $114 million. Japan is second with 80 million. Italy 75. France 53. Germany 52. European Union goes all the way down. You can go all the way down to these different areas. In fact, you can see rather than do it this way, we'll do contributor amount ascending, and we'll see what it says here, and we'll see which one gives the least. So $1 million. UNWomen, International Union, Kelly Wilson, World Food Program, Quantum Espresso Foundation, University College London, all these areas. This is 3 million, 2 million, 2 million, 2 million. I'm sorry, it's not even that. It's $1,000. I apologize. So basically $1,000. That's how much they're giving. World Food Program, $1,000. UNWomen, $1,000. International Union of Radio Science, $1,000. Kelly Wilson, $1,000, whoever Kelly Wilson is. So if you give $1,000, $2,000 to UNESCO, you get listed. You're listed. Now you're all the way down here, but basically you get listed, right? So $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. So I think it's interesting, but it's you have to go further into the data. So what I did was I thought, well, here's funding, right? And then it says sources of funding, and then it says uses of funding. So I thought, well, this is kind of interesting. Let me go to uses of functions, uses of funding, and see what the uses of funding are. Now, again, this is data used to apply what we're talking about. And I was just curious. I was thinking, why is why is the U.S. so eager to join UNESCO? So I thought about it. I just don't know. But anyways, this is what you have. So you have here, and it's interesting. It's in U.S. dollars. So this is the planned expenditures: education, $191,000; social and human services, $6 million. $6 million go into that, and then Bureau for Digital Business Solutions, Priority Africa and External Relations, 984,000. So so I thought, well, what is social and what is this? Social and human sciences, right? I couldn't figure out what that was, what it entailed or anything else. So I decided to just go to the projects themselves and figure out, okay, let's see what we're doing here. So I thought this was kind of cool. So explore our work. Here's your work here, right here. Here's what's going on. I want you to take a look and see how many projects there are in the United States. How many projects are in the United States? That would be none, right? Look at the ones in Canada. None in Canada. Brazil, tons in there. $60 million worth of projects in Brazil. Cameroon, United Republic of Tanzania, South Africa. All right, look at Russia. There's in Mongolia, Kazakhstan, Ukraine. There is Ukraine, $11 million worth of UNESCO in Ukraine. Kazakhstan, this area, hardly anything in Russia. Some in Japan, interesting, right? 158,000. Now remember, they gave some money. Vietnam. Let's see what else. There may be some other ones. Mongolia, Bhutan, Nepal. I thought that I saw some in Philippines, Timor, Indonesia, Iraq. Look at Iraq. Iraq, $83 million going to Iraq. $83 million, UNESCO. So, there's a lot of things going on here. Nothing in Canada, nothing in Greenland, nothing in Australia. You have these areas. So I thought this was interesting. What they have down here, if you keep on going, is you have 1,756 projects. How many projects? Global scope, projects, and then there's all kind of different projects. Global, multiple. There's, what are we talking about? Project budget, right? $302,000. And then they show how much it's been spent so far. So you can see all the things go along in here. So we're just going to pick one. Something having to do with oceans. So we're going to kick that one in. We'll hit that one. And we'll see what that project has. Ocean research. 450,000. 119 so far spent. 27%. Global financial plan. Voluntary contribution. Project contributes to the results framework, intergovernmental oceanographic commission, enhanced knowledge for climate action, biodiversity, water and ocean management, and disaster risk reduction. Member states critically supported in strengthening their capacity to conduct marine scientific research. Okay, contribution to sustainable development goals, 90%. And here we go, gender equity, priority Africa, small island developing states. So I just don't see a lot of details in this, but evidently that's what they're doing. So, and you have global, geographic scope and beneficiaries, global, because I guess it has to do with the oceans. So therefore it's like that. So you can see how you can get down into this data and you can, talk about these areas. So let's talk about results. Because that's what project management is, right? It's about results. So outcomes. Outcome number one, education, $380 million. Outcome number one. Outcome number two, got Institute for Statistics. No idea what that is. Natural sciences, intergovernmental oceanic, outcome number four, outcome number five, outcome number one, and it shows what they are. Ensure inclusive and equitable quality education, promote lifelong learning opportunities, strengthen international coordination for achievement of SDG 4, whatever that is. So, I mean, a lot of different outcomes. That's good. That's goals. Goals are important. That's what they do. So, I mean, that's what they have. And you can sit here and say, go to outputs, corporate reporting. So we can go to outputs, go to, promotion of diversity and heritage. So let's see what it has there. Sectors, culture. Member states' capacity strengthened to identify, protect, and manage tangible heritage. Member states' capacities. I mean, this is all kind of different things here. So, I mean, interesting stuff. Culture, communication, Institute for Statistics, evidence-based policy formulation, and monitoring progress towards SDGs. SDGs, don't know what that is. I mean, I'll look that up. So SDGs, don't know what the SDG. Let's find out what SDG UNESCO is here. SDG, education science, SDGs UN. So it must be like something having to do with implementation SDGs through its work. Sustainable Development Goals. That's what that is. So SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals. So, I mean, there's a lot of different areas in here. So this is uses of funding, sources of funding. Uses of funding is really interesting. It's kind of general in nature. Details by program, like I said, education, social. It's got different areas, but if you try to go to this, if you click it, nothing happens. So I couldn't understand. I wonder why they wouldn't automatically go to, why it wouldn't go to automatically those areas that are using that funding, right? I mean, you have to go to projects and they have to go to a world deal, and then you have to figure out who does what to whom here. So, I mean, very general. I mean, planned, 6 million, 5 million, 8, so it's really interesting how that's working there. But I did notice when I was looking at some of these things, and I wanted to hit up to see if there's anything in China. And there is something in China. It's Pakistan. There was one in China. It was really interesting because I thought it was just, I mean, that I saw it the other day, and man, this is really hard to do. I mean, trying to get around here. So, see if I can bring this up a little bit here. Myanmar, India, Nepal. Come on, where are you? Bhutan, Bangladesh. Thought I saw something up here. Here we go. China. So China's giving 114 million, right? But they're getting $2 million here, wherever that may be. And if you click on it, I mean, I can make it bigger, but it doesn't do anything. It doesn't help me. So, I mean, so China is actually getting $2.5 million, and they're importing, 114 million. So I just thought that was interesting. US is getting nothing, but they're getting something. So what does all this mean? Well, you have to go to what they call a density analysis. So what I did was I went to each of the contributions. You can download this. And China, Japan, Italy, all these different, all the way down from 1 to whatever. And there's a lot. You take it all the way down, it's 481, right? So 481. There's a lot of contributors. Now, what you do is you take the population. And then what you do is you take the contribution, or the basically, like, dollars per person type aspects here. So if you try to do that, now here's where it gets kind of crazy, is that if you have person per dollar, so 12 people, basically, this is actually wrong, should be person per dollars. So you're getting 12 people per that dollar. So if you do dollars per person, right, equals dollars, right, per person, you got 0.08. So you have about 8 cents per person, right? So what if I just did this all the way down and did that? Look at what you have here. So if you have the contribution, and this is dollars per person, if you have this, what do you have? Well, you have about 8 cents per person from as a contribution to UNESCO from China. Well, let's see who's given $1.25 per person. Well, that would be, in fact, what you can do is when you're in a situation like this, is you can actually either bring this way, which is fine, and you can do it that way, or you can actually freeze the panes, one of the two. So this is what we have. So this is person per dollar. This is dollars per person. So Japan is, Italy is giving $1.25 per person. France is giving 79 cents per person. Germany is giving 62 cents per person. And look at this one. Sweden is given $2.65 per person. Norway is giving $4.52 per person. So, I mean, they're giving a lot of money. Spain, about 36 cents, and Australia, about 63 cents. So you have these person per dollar. Now, where did I get the population? I got the population. You can get it any of a number of ways. But the neat thing, let me just show you real quick where I would get it from. So if I were to get population, I get population of anything. I can do population by country, and there's a lot. There's world-o-meters, which will give you all the different countries in the world, and they'll give each one and what's going on there. Now, this actuality is dated. Not tell you why is because this is 2020, and according to this thing, China has more people than India, but that's not true now. It just isn't true. So that's what's going on in there. Now, what I wanted to bring out is that there is something called BRICS. Now, BRICS, BRICS, and this stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So China, UNESCO, right? They're getting stuff from UNESCO. Then what else is there? Well, there's, let's see, we wanted to do India. So India, they're getting $6 million, right? So that's the I in BRICS. China is, Russia's, Russia, unfortunately, Russia's getting like nothing, which is really interesting because I never, I thought Russia would be getting something from this, but they're getting nothing. It's probably because they're at war with Ukraine. Big problem. South Africa. South Africa is getting about $1 million. So Brazil is getting $60 million. So out of BRICS, Brazil, India, China, and South Africa are, yes, they're putting in money, but they are also getting money from that. Now, how much is Brazil getting as a population? How much is Brazil making? So basically, you can do this in a number of ways. You can either take this and do it by data. You can make it A to Z, right? And you can expand it. Okay. And then you go to Brazil. Let's see what Brazil is giving. Brazil is giving about 300, what is this? About $38 million. $38 million they're giving, they're contributing about 18 cents a person. 18 cents a person based on population. They're getting back 60 million of that. That's how much they're getting back. Look at it. 60 million. They're given 38 million and they're getting back 60 million. That is a good deal. That is a great deal. 38 million they're contributing. They're getting back 68 million from everybody else. Good investment. This is a really, really good investment. This is something that's very important. Now, is this going to come out in media? Nope. Is this going to come out anywhere else? Nope. You see it here on the Worldview and the Data Show. That's where you're going to see it. And this is their current population. This is the people per dollars. 5 people per dollar, and then you have 18 cents that they're giving. 5 people giving 18 cents. So think about that. Think about that for a second. So it's the well, not 5 people in 18 cents, but you get the drift. I think what goes on there. So this is why this is both a worldview and a data show, because you got to get this worldview thing going on. How much is the United States going to be expected to contribute, right? How much how much will we have to pay, right? And this is an interesting contribute, right, from our coffers, right, to the world, of which Brazil, India, China, and South Africa are all going to be part of that, and they belong to a conglomeration of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, the BRICS. So that is something to consider throughout this whole thing and figure out but that's the longer term aspects of this whole idea. And I mean, it really is. I mean, Afghanistan is giving some of it. Afghanistan has given $42,000. $42,000 they've given. So I mean, that's pretty wild when you think about it. Airbnb has given $132,000. They've given three times the amount. Airbnb have given three times the amount that Afghanistan has given. So I just thought I'd throw that out at you. So I mean, it's situations like that are happening. So what else? What else is happening in the world? And I think this is in order to really make this good, we need to bring in Google Earth, because I think this is important to bring that in. So we're going to bring in Google Earth. We're going to talk about some other things that have been happening in the world, and then I'm going to go ahead and let you go for today. So this is the world, folks. This is the world. So what's happening? Well, let's go over to Africa real quick and just talk about a country. And this is very interesting. What's happening? What we have is we have a country along in this area called Mali. And Mali right now is being, you can see it's right near Guinea, the Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, but Mali has got issues because they are under a situation right now of basically a military junta. They're trying to get a constitutional convention going. They're trying to get a constitution going. They're having voting. They're doing a lot of things to try to get themselves back up to snuff what's going on. Also, the Wagner Group is also somewhat in this area, along these areas. So it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary what's going on there. Mali is right next to Algeria. Algeria just told France to go pound sand when they came and they tried to get oil because of the atrocities that France did while Algeria was a colony. So that's something that's going on. I wanted to make sure everyone knew about Mali, what was going on in Mali, because that's very interesting. And all the way over here, we talk about Uganda. Uganda just had a very horrific situation happen to them, and it ended up where they are trying to figure out who was responsible. There were people killed, a lot of people killed. So they are trying to figure out. They think they knew who's responsible. They're trying to come to figure out how to prevent something like that from happening. So a lot of things happening in this part of the world, and I think it's sad because the U.S. news very rarely, if ever, covers Africa. Africa News actually covers Africa, and they're on Haystack News, which is free. So I just wanted to throw that out there, a couple of things that are happening in the world today, because I think it's very important. So on that note, I'm gonna leave you for today, but I wanted to make sure that everybody understood what was going on from the standpoint of the worldview and UNESCO. And we're about to be part of UNESCO. So it will be interesting to see how the media covers how much we have to contribute to UNESCO, or what our contribution is going to be, especially out of our coffers, especially in a situation where we have no projects in the United States to fund. So we are basically paying for everybody else's issues. Also, one other thing, just real quick, Canada just hit their 40 millionth person. And this is interesting because, it just seems like yesterday they had 24 million people, maybe 30 million people. And they attribute it a lot to migrants, to the migrants that are coming in from other countries, from different areas. And they are, so, I mean, we're talking about 10 million people more than what 30 million people. So they have a lot of people in Canada, a lot of space, of course, but they're getting up to a lot of people. But again, 30 million, 10th of our population, a 10th. So on that note, I'm going to bid you a good day, and thank you very much for watching both the Worldview and the Data Show. This will be both on Tuesday and on Thursday. And just please, understand that the reason it's both on both is because it uses data to be able to apply it to a situation that we will have facing us in the very, very near future, of which China is certainly contributing most of the contributions to UNESCO. That's something that's going to be interesting, and they're doing it for a reason. China never does anything without an agenda. So there's an agenda here. If they can put more money into other countries and the countries see that, does that give them sway to be able to go into that country and leverage that money to get them something within those countries? Don't know. Possibility. So until next time, this is Chris Greco signing off for both the Data Show and the Worldview. Please have a great day. And remember always to check the data.